Hello, you're watching World Talks on TVP World. My name is Sasha Farbach. Hungary is entering a new phase of governance as its newly elected members of parliament, including Péter Magyar and leading figures from the TISA party, received their official authorization documents. Now, this comes just days before the scheduled swearing-in ceremony of the new government on May 9th. Now, with the constitutional majority behind him, Magyar is preparing to take office amid growing focus on rule of law reforms and negotiations with Brussels over unlocking EU funds. I'm now joined by political scientist Philipp Köker of Leibniz University Hannover to discuss the latest. Good to have you with us.
Good morning.
So this looks like it's an important day. Tell us the significance of what's going on there in Hungary, in Budapest today.
Well, yeah, it is really a big change in Hungarian politics. After 16 years of governments led by the Fidesz party and Viktor Orbán, we're now very close to entering a new phase with government with previously small, now two-thirds majority TISA party under the leadership of Péter Magyar. And of course, many are hoping to see a reversal of Hungarian rule of law reforms that were introduced under Viktor Orbán and have, as many have already said, widely changed the institutional balance in the country towards a corrupt, clientelistic system in which politics really dominated, especially the judiciary, but also many other parts of society, especially civil society, were curtailed. So it's now a day of hope for many Hungarians, but also, of course, for many European partners abroad.
Mm-hmm. Now, there's this actual formal seating of its MPs today on Monday, but the actual government itself and Péter Magyar, the new prime minister-to-be, that'll only happen on May 9th, so still in some days away. So tell us briefly then, Philip, who is in charge now? Who's running the Hungarian state? So it's still Orbán, and how much influence can he have at this point?
Yeah, so at the moment, the government of Viktor Orbán is still in charge, albeit after elections, it's only there basically leading the business of the government, no longer there as really an active government seeking to propose any kind of reforms or legislation. The Hungarian president, Tamás has set the first inaugural session of parliament for May 9th, and that is also the day when we will see the election of Péter Magyar. So behind the scenes, there will already be a lot of preparation going on. We know that Péter Magyar and his team have already been in contact not only with the European Commission, but domestically, of course, also with the different ministries, with civil servants, trying to figure out with whom they want to work, with whom they can work in the next days.
Mm-hmm. I know we've already seen the kind of speed all this has happened, and we've already reported on this and followed Péter Magyar's first trip, informal trip, still to Brussels. That was just some days ago. But there's a lot of pressure on him now, I think time pressure. So walk us through a little bit how quickly these ministers will be able to get to work. You said there's already stuff happening behind the scenes, but how quickly can he get all this done? How quickly can this reform move at scale?
Well, yes, the appointment of ministers will probably be only a formality, because after Péter Magyar has been elected as Hungarian prime minister, you will ask the president to appoint his team. So by early next week, we might have a functioning government. But of course, the Hungarian government is under a lot of time pressure, as you've said. One of the biggest challenges now is unlocking EU funds that have been frozen due to rule of law and corruption concerns, and especially about 11 billion euros of post-pandemic recovery funds need to be unlocked by August this year. And this is really a big ask for the government. There's a list of 27 milestones that need to be implemented or at least tackled. And at the moment, there are very few concrete proposals that we've heard from Péter Magyar here. He's made very bold statements asking the heads of several state institutions to resign, the Constitutional Court, Supreme Court, even calling on the president to resign. But actually working out all these different legislative measures that are now needed to enhance judicial independence, to join the European Public Prosecutor's Office, that's a lot of technical work. And it will be difficult for the government to do all this in time for the August deadline.
Mm-hmm. So there's a lot that needs to be tackled simultaneously, very fast. I want to get your sense of some of these cabinet picks. One of them, actually the chief legal advisor of TISA, Mr. Melteni Barna. Now, he is due to be the new justice minister, but it also seems to be that he is the brother-in-law of Péter Magyar. So what do you make of that appointment?
Yeah, so Péter Magyar has faced a lot of criticism for this cabinet pick, especially because he also attacked the cronyism within government of Viktor Orbán and all his dealings. We have to say, actually having brother-in-law or even a brother is not that unusual in your cabinet. Is not that unusual in European comparisons, or even in the government of Boris Johnson in the UK. He had this brother as another cabinet minister. So political families tend to have several family members, but of course it's who are active in politics. But of course it's maybe not the most opportune signal to send here after this campaign against Viktor Orbán and his business dealings.
Yeah, and as you said there also, in terms of which to remind them that our viewers, that he is the chief legal advisor to TISA, but also a man with many years of legal experience. So he does have that coming with him in that post. Let's look at also in terms of greatest challenges right now that Péter Magyar, I mean, he's already hitting the ground running, but in your mind, where's he going to, let's say, find the most, maybe not any sort of hurdles that are insurmountable, but where do you see him really spending many nights and days working on?
Well, I think one of the big tasks now for Péter Magyar is also to coordinate the work within his party. So there are a lot of newly elected MPs who've not been that active in politics before, who have expertise in other areas. And also, his supporters, but also his candidates have rallied around unseating Viktor Orbán. And now you really have to fill this with concrete policy promises. And especially because the party has really refrained from taking any stance on cultural issues, this might be a recipe for disagreement, internal conflict, as new policy priorities are discussed. So a lot of work, a lot of hurdles will be in keeping unity beyond these rule of law reforms that he promised.
Mm-hmm. And then also let's look at the region. I mean, we already know that Péter Magyar, once he's sworn in, he'll be going to visit partners in the region. In fact, he's going to Warsaw first, to Poland, then also to Vienna, to Austria. Tell us a bit more about how he will gauge the region. What kind of Magyar and what kind of Hungary will we see in the CEE?
Yeah, so Péter Magyar has already said that he wants, once again, a very close political relationship with Austria, and I think he will try to seek key allies in Europe. And I think with Poland, that faces similar difficulties as he's facing now. It's very important to keep Poland as an ally. Same Austria, I think, is quite similar in sort of the direction of the government. It's a center-right, not particularly socially liberal government. And so I think here Magyar will try to seek strategic allies and ensure that Hungary's voice is heard, and that he actually keeps some of the leverage that Viktor Orbán built up through his rather controversial positions in EU politics.
Yeah, so 16 years of Orbán, that is not going to be an easy task to undo. Thanks so much for giving us all those insights. We're joined here by Philipp Köker from Leibniz University Hannover. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching. That concludes World Talks, but stay right here on TVP World for more news and commentary. Goodbye.